in the end.
So, I know I'm a little late to the party with this one, but with that piece of business taken care of, here's some more nostalgia for you. I'm sure you've all heard by now, but in the odd event you haven't, Activision came to their senses and finally decided to make a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 Plus 4. The bad news is that Vicarious Visions is not helming it. See, despite the success of THPS 1 Plus 2, Vicarious Visions was merged into Blizzard and became Blizzard Albany, being forced to a fate worse than hell, only working on Blizzard stuff. As such, Activision instead brought in Iron Galaxy Studios. This is a company best known for porting various games to different consoles and PCs. While their ports of Capcom games like Street Fighter III Third Strike Online, MVC Origins, and Darkstalkers Resurrection have gone well, many other ports haven't. See Batman Arkham Knight and TLOU Part 1's PC ports for further examples. On top of that, they've tried to cram 4 into the 2-minute style of gameplay, which itself has come with a litany of problems, and divisive discussions on r/THPS as a result of this design choice. But since we'll be talking about 3 today, I'll save all that discourse for another time. With regards to THPS 3, while I had some excitement when the announcement happened, part of me also wondered if we fully needed it given how much of a leap 3 was. This is also one of the reasons I wanted to review it and 4 before this remake comes out. I've already reviewed Thug 1 up to Project 8, and THPS 1 plus 2 pretty much makes the old 1 and 2 feel much more of their time. 3 though? I still think it holds its own for a game that's 24 years old, but before I fill in the gaps, some history. Even before the PS2 came out, rumors were persisting of a third Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game. This isn't much of a surprise. The first game was a runaway hit, practically spawning an entire new genre in the process, and the second game, when it came out, achieved universal acclaim for being a major improvement over the original thanks to the additions of things like manuals. To this date, not only is THPS 2 the highest rated game for the PS1 that is, on Metacritic, it's the second highest rated game on the site overall, behind Ocarina of Time. Activision announced THPS 3 for the PS2 in August of 2000 as part of a financial release, amongst many other extreme sports games. They also announced support of the Xbox and GameCube, which would get their own versions of THPS 3. They announced Neversoft's return, and the game would take full advantage of the next-gen hardware. The game was later confirmed for GBA, GBC, PS1, and Xbox. The game was further shown at E3 2001, and it looked as every bit impressive as Activision made it sound. On top of that, the PS2 version would have online play. The game was looking very promising from everything we've seen so far. So promising that Activision actually had a partnership with lifestyle apparel brand Quicksilver. This happened through their stores, the clothing, and even in-game advertising like many extreme sports games before and since. Activision even released an audio CD with music from and inspired by the game itself, on top of a second CD with preview footage from the game, a Tony Hawk interview, and some behind-the-scenes footage. Sometime in late September 2001, Activision then officially confirmed a GameCube version of THPS 3 would happen. They also confirmed the PS2 release date and a retail price of about $50. The PS2, after the launch of that version, Activision then confirmed a PC version would come in Q1 of 2002. All in all, everything released on time, and here we are. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 released on the PS1 and PS2 on October 30th, 2001 for North America, and 1 month later for Europe. There was a Japanese version later on, but yeah. The GBC version launched on November 16, 2001 for North America, and a week later for Europe. The GameCube version launched on November 18, 2001 for North America, and May 3, 2002 for Europe as a GameCube launch title. The Xbox version released on March 15, 2002 for North America, and 1 day earlier for Europe. The North American GBA version launched on the same day as the North American Xbox release, and on March 28, 2002 for Europe. A PC version launched on March 29, 2002 for North America and May 10, 2002 for Europe. An N64 version was released on August 20th, 2002 for North America and was the last game released on the console. Finally, a macOS version released on January 31st, 2003. All of that, and what do we have? A game that most certainly not only brought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater into the 6th generation very successfully, but we have a game that feels smooth and is equally just as fun after all these years. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 pretty much follows the same formula in the last two games. You'll pick a skater and a deck, start with the first level, and you work your way up to unlock all the levels. Within each of these levels, you're given a set of goals to complete, with the exception of the 3 competition stages. More on those in a moment. The main levels usually have a few goals in common: high, pro, and 6 scores, collecting skate, and the secret tape. Usually the level will have a few goals specific to it as well. Every skater in the game must do said goals, but there actually is some variety in the goals depending on the type of skater you select. Vert skaters will have different trick goals compared to street skaters. For example, in the Foundry, vert skaters must cannonball over the half pipe, and street skaters must 50-50 grind TC's rail. This can also affect placement for skate letters, stat points, which replace money that you could collect in the previous game, and the location of the decks. I feel like this is done to ensure different playthroughs with other characters have more variety. You find the deck in a level, you can unlock a new deck for your skater. Each level has 1 and 5 stat points as well. At the end of a run, you can adjust your stat points to add to the ones you have, and you can even take some away from one stat and put them on another. This can be useful if you want to boost one stat that is best needed for a goal. The competition levels, though, are the same for every character. You have a minute to get as many points as possible in a run. You get 3 runs, and the total of your top 2 runs will be the final score. Finish in the top 3 for a medal, and try not to bail. That's going to hurt your score. So basically the whole game is classic Tony Hawk, but it has some new mechanics, much like 2 did, to help improve the gameplay experience and take advantage of the 6th generation hardware. Pro Skater 3 keeps much of what made 2 so damn great, but it's been made even smoother thanks to the use of renderware. As such, performing tricks like flip tricks, grabs, specials, etc. input much faster. Essentially, the clunkiness of the older games is gone. It's like going from SSX to SSX Tricky. As such, this really did feel like quite a jump, and the combo possibilities really went up because you could input more at a faster rate. Just remember not to bail. But that wasn't enough for Neversoft. Wanting to link your combos, your half-pipe, quarter-pipe combos in ways you couldn't before? That's why Neversoft introduced the revert here. Hitting the pivot button will switch your style, from regular to goofy, or vice versa. But if you hit this button while landing in a half-pipe or quarter-pipe, you can manual in between to keep your combo going. Essentially, do a spinning grab or whatever you can, hit revert as you land, manual, usually with the analog stick, because it's quicker to flick compared to the D-pad, in my opinion. Then get to the other side of the pipe, then lather, rinse, repeat for as long as you can balance for. On top of that, there are now hitting combos that are variations of existing tricks worth more points. For example, instead of hitting left and flip for a kick flip, hit left and flip twice for a double kick flip. These require more time in the air, but slipping in one of these can actually give your score an extra boost. Really give it. And there's also now a lip/rail balance bar, so you have an idea of how long you can balance for. Also, remember the big drop from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, in which after taking a leap of faith, you can press Ollie right before you land, or land in a grind/manual while holding Ollie, and you'll get extra points? That feature has been removed to make things more arcade-like. Aside from all those additions and the one deletion, you get the idea. With an utmost urgency for points, goal completion, and who knows what else, the controls need to be on point to accomplish the tasks at hand. Luckily, THPS 3 aces this category in every way, shape, and form. The basic controls pretty much follow the same ordeal as the last game. I'll be referring to the PlayStation 2 version since that's the version that was recorded here. Left and right, well, they turn in their respective directions. up moves, down stops, both D-pad and analog. X performs an ollie, squares for flip tricks, triangle grinds, circle does grabs, R2 pivots / reverts, and L2 allows you to go into a nollie stance. If you do a nollie while in a switch stance, you can go into a fakie stance. L1 and R1 are not used. These controls are all pretty simple, and the inputs work as they should with no delay. In fact, there's actually more parity here between the 6th gen versions, since other mechanics that require more inputs weren't implemented here. So that's actually a positive here. The button layout is a bit more awkward on the GameCube controller, but it's not too bad to get used to. You'll be in good hands with the controls no matter which version you play. Implementing special tricks is pretty much the same way it was before. Fill your special meter, then hit the combination. Left, right, then grab, for example. There's a reason people still go back to this game, and the controls are a really good reason to do so. Not much more to say here. Given the leap from 5th to 6th gen, the graphics here look pretty good. Starting with the character models. Models now look less blocky and clearer, on top of the faces looking better as well. Clothing also looks pretty good and looks akin to what the skaters wear. This applies to both the real skaters and the custom skaters. There's plenty of customization options for the custom skaters to make them look just the way you want. That's now also including the ability to use female skaters. The decks themselves also look pretty good. I'm pretty sure most of these are taken from the real world, and the designs of them are just as cool to look at. Details are fine across the board for all of these, especially the bonus characters. Improvements have also been seen in the levels themselves. For starters, there's a good amount of environmental variety. There always was in the past games, but now you really feel it here because of the hardware and graphics improvements. You've got plenty of outdoor and indoor environments, from the work factory known as the Foundry, to the part skate park, part winter forest in Canada, small little neighborhood, an airport, an entire skate park that, if you grind a specific flag, opens up another area with a pirate ship that you can skate on, LA, and the competition levels of Rio and Tokyo, the latter with its futuristic look. The levels just set themselves up for so much trick possibility, thanks to all the placement of the rails and everything, and object placement is just on point, especially on the cruise ship level. Just be careful not to go overboard. Even recreations of levels from past games like Warehouse, Burnside, and Roswell all look pretty good. They look very familiar to those who played THPS 1, but they have the updates that make them look better, mainly better looking objects that look less blocky. And you can play with the THPS 3 engine improvements, so now you have way more possibilities for tricks for these levels than you did in the previous games. Though they may not seem as big as the main levels as a result, but they are just bonuses after all. In fact, all the levels benefit from 6th gen hardware upgrades. For the time at least, the details in these objects look good, as did the objects themselves. These range from environmental pieces like terrain, to objects like vehicles, rails, ramps, pipes, etc. They really did feel more lifelike. Granted, this was suppressed by later entries, but this was still pretty good for the time. On top of good placement, like I mentioned earlier, of all the objects. Oh, and speaking of lifelike, one big addition was the inclusion of pedestrians in the various levels. The previous two games, while some levels would have some life, like the taxis in New York in THPS 2 for example, they really felt more like these odd liminal spaces where people would dream of skating themselves, or even just hanging out. Here though, the pedestrians just give it that extra oomph. It allows for more creativity in the goals on top of that, like impressing the skaters in Canada, helping the Undertaker in Suburbia, etc. On top of that, the game runs exceptionally smooth across all three platforms at 60 frames per second, with no slowdown. It also allows the input to come in faster and smoother. Animations for everything from tricks to grinds, etc. also look much smoother. Even the little things like balancing on rails and bail animations look better because of smaller animation enhancements. On the whole, THPS 3 still holds its own graphically for the most part, even if later entries did surpass it. It's still a good looking game. The sound design is especially really good. Each of the levels have well-matching sounds that fit the levels they are in. The Foundry sounds like a loud and busy factory, Suburbia sounds like a nice little quiet neighborhood with the occasional vehicle noise, not counting the haunted house you can go into. Airport sounds as busy as ever with regards to planes and people, etc. Again, these effects really help bring the levels further to life on top of the pedestrians. These sounds don't even count for skate sounds like grinding, boneless jumps, reverts, and pivot sounds, and the ever-satisfying special trick sound. I never get tired of it no matter how many times I hear it. But the real standout of this entire sound design is the soundtrack. The best way to describe it is a word you can break down into two parts.
Audience, say it with me. Legendary!
The Adolescence Amoeba. Zebraheads check. The Ramones Blitzkrieg bop. Body Jar's not the same. Motorhead's Ace of Spades is the intro theme, and I could keep naming songs to prove my point. Not only do they fit, they're just great songs in their own right. Enough said. There's not much for voice acting here. Very minor tidbits that depend on the goals. These are fine, but they aren't particularly special. Still, the rest of the sound design more than makes up for it. There is actually quite a bit of replayability here, though it essentially boils down to keep completing the game with different skaters to unlock everything, which can get old after a while, but damn do those unlockables tempt you. Like the characters. Aside from the series' usual suspects of secret characters like Officer Dick, Private Carrera, and Ollie the Magic Bum, we have Darth Maul, Wolverine, Kelly Slater, Demon S, and the Neversoft Eyeball. Bonus levels from the past games that can be unlocked include, well, Warehouse, Burnside, and Roswell. After the first 10, you'll unlock cheats for every subsequent playthrough, with the last unlock being the Neversoft Eyeball. Doom Guy and X-Ray are exclusive to the PC and Xbox versions, respectively. So, it is somewhat grindy, but there is some good stuff to get here. And hey, when a game is this fun, it can never be too grindy. See what I did there? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 shows that the third time really can be the charm, especially when you have the power of the 6th generation on your side. It plays amazingly, looks and runs smooth as hell, it controls damn near flawlessly, the sound across the board is awesome, the soundtrack really is just one of the best licensed soundtracks in any game I've ever heard. There's a lot of cool bonus content, and the multiplayer can still be played online thanks to PS2 Online and OpenSpy on PC. There aren't really many flaws, except that unlocking content might get a bit repetitive, and Bob Burnquist is the only pro who doesn't appear here due to his appearance in Konami's ESPN X Games Skateboarding that was released the same year as this. And the ironic thing is that his hometown of Rio was featured in this game. Though the addition of Bam Margera's debut plus the bonus characters do help here, and there's a few bonus skaters in the Japanese version and an extra Japanese skater in the GameCube version. Still though, this game really has stood the test of time. The remake has a high bar to hit if it even wants to be equal to this. I can already see room for improvement like adding spine transfers since some levels would benefit from it, like the ending bowls in Tokyo for example. But with how they're handling the soundtrack, that does have me a bit worried. Still, if 3 plus 4 goes the way of the RE3 remake, we still have the originals to go back to. Regardless of how it turns out, play the original 3. It's like the perfect time capsule of the 6th gen's full force introduction, and just for the culture. There's a reason this game is tied for the highest rated PS2 game on Metacritic alongside GTA 3, let alone 7th on Metacritic's overall list. It's that damn good. I give Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 a 5 out of 5 with a badass seal of approval. There's still one other piece left to cover here. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe below and check out the playlist on screen for more content. To help support the show beyond the usual means, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi on the link tree in the description. And come by my Twitch where I conquer my backlog one game at a time. See you in the next video.